Ladies and gentlemen, the Durham probe has what it needs now to prove intent. See, James Comey found top secret and special access program intelligence on Madam Secretary's servers, and Madam Secretary will eventually replace Biden. You watch. Biden is doing worse among key voting demographics within the Democratic Party. I've spoken about this endlessly. You watch. Eventually, after the debates, during the debates, who knows? Who cares? Who cares? Anyway, the intent is always missing when it comes to Democrats and corruption and criminal behavior. So when Clinton had top secret and special access program intelligence using servers for 4 years, the intent to transfer that data, the intent to own the servers, the intent to hide communication just wasn't there. It was just for convenience, don't you understand? So there was no intent to deceive or to hide communication with 4 years of private servers. There's no intent there. Now the Democrats say, well, there is no intent to set up and frame President Trump. I mean, my God, we were being attacked by a hostile foreign nation. If that were true, then why didn't President Obama veto the sale of 20% of U.S. uranium capacity to that same hostile foreign nation? Oh, that's right. They needed to save face, and they needed to go after President Trump and prevent him from having an actual presidency as long as they could with it, with the initial probe and then the Mueller probe. Initially, what they tried to do, and we find out from these text messages today, is that they tried to set up and frame and harass an incoming president. They even went so far as to say, quote, Trump was right. When President Trump tweeted out that they have no case and they're just stalling on January 3rd, 2017 to create a case, they literally wrote, these FBI officials said Trump was right. Then they got professional liability insurance. Quote, we all went, this is after they said, quote, Trump is right. We had, like, basically we have no case. Quote, we all went and purchased professional liability insurance. Why do you think, don't you think that they would be protected if you're working for the Bureau or Central Intelligence? Don't you think that you're working for this revered government agency by Democrats, revered by Democrats and Lincoln Project people? Don't you think that you'd be protected? Don't you think that, well, why would you need professional liability insurance as a government employee? You get professional liability insurance if you're a business owner, if you're a contractor, if you're, providing a service to people. You get professional liability. You don't get professional liability insurance as a government employee. Okay? Yeah, okay, but anyway, so even the analysts got professional liability insurance. But anyway, so Trump was right about ginned up Russia probe. FBI text messages show. So this is really interesting. The intelligence briefings on so-called Russian hacking was delayed until Friday. Perhaps more time is needed to build a case. Very strange, President Trump wrote. Then they write, Trump was right. Trump was right, still not put together. Why do we do this to ourselves? What is wrong with these people? Another FBI agent wrote. So they don't have, like, everybody on the planet knew they didn't have a case. This was 4 or 5 months before the Mueller probe. They had no case even before the Mueller probe. They utilized the dossier that we now find out was completely a disinformation plot and a danger to national security, they just found out. Then the difference between, like, New York Post, Fox News, and Politico, Feds air FBI agents' gripes about Flynn probe. I mean, you couldn't be more benign. Look, the establishment, the media, Democratic Party, Lincoln Project people, Hollywood, liberals, far left, progressives, Medicare for all people, they're all completely delusional when they think that Trump is the root of all evil. You have a big, giant tent on the left comprised of neoconservative Lincoln Project people and Medicare for all people. Why do you think Max Boot, Bill Kristol, and Bernie Sanders are voting for the same person? Medicare for all is a noble idea. It's almost certainly not feasible, but it's very noble. There's nothing noble about counterinsurgency conflicts. Even if it's packaged as, well, we have to remove this bad person. Well, if you remove the bad person, you're there for 20 years and still chaotic and dangerous, and you're leaving Americans there forever, which is what Lincoln Project and Democratic Party people want or don't care about. And that's what I care about, and that's why I'm voting for President Trump, in addition to a whole lot of other reasons. I want a reversal of U.S. foreign policy. A big part of what the Durham probe is about is trying to find out why they went after President Trump. One of the reasons is because they wanted to prevent a withdrawal of soldiers. They wanted to prevent a reversal of U.S. foreign policy. And if anything, they got a person who's more belligerent towards Russia than President Obama was. President Obama didn't give lethal aid to Ukraine. But again, they need to find intent. They're trying to find intent. They're trying to say, okay, the Durham probe is saying, well, what? We have Kevin Kleinsmith on a specific illegal act. The Democrats are completely, like, they've convinced themselves that Comey, Strzok, McCabe, Clapper, Brennan, all of these people, the lovely Lisa Page, all of these people acted under, simply care for national security. They just wanted to protect the country. The infiltration, the alleged hacking, all of this stuff took place under their watch, number one. Number two, they knew they never had any evidence that Trump was engaged in Russian interference, number two. Number three, they can't even quantify Russian interference. They don't even know how many votes were altered by Facebook ads that nobody has seen. No, have you ever wondered why nobody has even talked about a specific Facebook ad? Then you have the issue of Comey, Strzok, McCabe, Clapper, Brennan coordinating with one another, either verbally or through text messages or through official communications or through actions that all serve the same purpose, which is to undermine and set up and frame President Trump, Michael Flynn, everyone around Trump. That is 18 U.S. Code 371, when you conspire to defraud the United States of America or institutions within the United States of America. Comey and McCabe and Strzok and Clapper and all of them were playing this hilarious game. Well, I was just doing my job. Well, it's funny how all of your job responsibilities revolved around setting up and framing President Trump on the flimsiest of, I don't even want to say evidence, but hearsay and gossip. So they come up with these text messages that still unsure of the basis of the investigation concerning Russia and the Trump campaign working together without a specific criminal allegation. That's exactly what I had been saying for 4 years. And there was no specific criminal allegation. And then they tried to find 18 U.S. Code 371, but that works against them. 18 U.S. Code 371 is what I wrote about in the Federalist, that McCabe and Comey should be charged under. All of these, the Durham probe now has a wealth of information and data and evidence showing that there was a plot to get Trump. They can't hide behind ignorance. They can't say there was no intent because you have agents literally writing, still unsure of the basis of the investigation concerning Russia and the Trump campaign working together without a specific criminal allegation. This is after the Steele dossier was out in the public. This is actually beginning of 2017, before Trump was sworn in. They had nothing. Then they started a Mueller probe based on absolutely nothing, Comey's memos. And then you talk about election interference. How much do you think the Mueller probe helped them during the midterms? Didn't help them get the Senate. Okay, I said that it would increase their lead in the Senate, and it's funny because I took a lot of heat during the midterms, but the Senate was the most important victory. Look, just ask people who were upset about Amy Coney Barrett. If Democrats controlled the Senate, they could have prevented President Trump. Now we find out tomorrow that almost certainly President Trump's going to pick Amy Coney Barrett, and I've been talking about that for a long time. If he picks Barbara Lagoa, that'll be fantastic also. She might be even better than Amy Coney Barrett, but I think that it's going to be Amy Coney Barrett, and it'll be Trump's third Supreme Court justice. But be here, ladies and gentlemen, 9 p.m. Pacific every evening. I have an amazing live stream every evening. It reaches up to 1,000 people. It's fantastic. It's awesome. and you will love it. But if you want to support my voice long term, my Patreon, I think I told you already, but my Patreon's below. I don't have $20 million in venture capital funding like some people who want to get money out of politics. But ladies and gentlemen, this is really amazing. The 302 stated that Barnett ran the request to interview Flynn up the chain, but said the request was denied. And then eventually they still got... Barnett did not see any evidence of collusion between Trump campaign and Russian government. Barnett was willing to follow any instruction being given by the deputy director, as long as it was not in violation of the law. The funny thing is, the law states that you can't go after people for political purposes. So, these people are working for one goal. So these FBI text messages, and then you have Politico. Oh, the FBI agents gripes about it. It's just gripes, you know. They're just banter. They're pretty funny because they don't realize. Barnett thought Rhee was obsessed with Flynn and Russia, and she had an agenda. The report says Rhee told Barnett she looked forward to working together. So you have a whole bunch of FBI officials spilling the beans, telling the truth that there was nothing to Trump Russia. There wasn't even a criminal allegation. They didn't even have a case against Trump, but they had the media. They had scorned millions upon millions upon millions of scorned, indignant, self-righteous liberals who think they're morally superior, who couldn't possibly look in the mirror and say, we lost to President Trump. We lost to Donald J. Trump. They couldn't possibly, I know these people, they couldn't possibly look into the mirror and say, okay, we cheated Bernie Sanders. The Berlin Wall fell in what, 89? So by 89 and 1990, we didn't the Cold War was over. It's been an entire generation now of people who don't remember what it's like. I do. If you're in your 40s, you remember the Cold War, but a lot of people don't. Okay. A great percentage of our population was born after the Berlin Wall fell. So, but to Democrats, they don't care. They're like, oh, they had this nonsense, this hilarious nonsense, a country over party. It's like, give me a break. The Lincoln Project people and the establishment Republicans, like, vindicate everything I said in Salon and the Huffington Post and the Hill in 2016. All of my articles were signed off by editors. I said there was no difference between establishment Republicans and establishment Democrats, and you see this now. And the left is so proud, like, oh, look, these Republicans don't like Trump. It's like, no, they have nothing to do with support for President Trump. They were not part of the 63 million people who voted for President Trump. So why would anyone care? If you share a Lincoln Project post, you're an imbecile if you're on the left, because nobody cares. If you're voting for President Trump, you're very happy that the neoconservatives of the Bush administration that caused never-ending counterinsurgency conflicts are not voting for President Trump. That's actually a plus. So, President Trump is the best president of my lifetime. So I'm trying to look in the past 40 plus years. Is there a better president? President Obama, just ask the people of Libya what they think of President Obama. Ask the people of Flint, Michigan. Ask the people of Standing Rock. Ask the people of, ask anyone who has experienced, well, in the Middle East, Syria. Ask any person that experienced President Obama's foreign policy. Like the people of Libya. He literally destroyed Libya with a failed NATO intervention. But it was just, they asked him, it's his worst mistake, and the media doesn't say anything about it because media is in the tank, literally practically working for Democrats. And nothing, like, they say that Trump lies. Nobody's lied worse. You've had 4 years of people saying Trump worked with Russia, and that's the biggest lie of all time. And you had 4 years of people saying there was reason to be suspicious, which is also a lie. They called Trump a liar for saying mail-in, absentee and mail-in ballots could lead, or will lead to fraud, which is exactly what Democrats have been saying for a long time. The suspicion is warranted. You could forge signatures. Slate, the New York Times, Palm Beach Post, Miami Herald, all of these publications have documented massive voter fraud because of fraudulent absentee ballots and mail-in ballots. California rejected 100,000 ballots just in the primary several months back. So, I mean, it's unbelievable. But see, Trump is lying when he expresses the emotion of suspicion. He's lying because he's suspicious. And then they're like, no, you don't need to be suspicious. No. It's like they can't win on ideas because reality reflects what President Trump has always been talking about. He never worked with Russia. The Democrats tried to create a fantasy, not reality. Mail-in ballots and absentee ballots could lead to fraud, and they have in the past. And overwhelming reliance on these absentee ballots could easily lead to fraud. That is truth. Slate and the New York Times and other publications even bolstered that fact when Republicans were cheating using absentee ballots. So the left is they're a bunch of hypocritical, apoplectic, seething, fuming, hysterical imbeciles who engage in the most foolish tactics and wonder why their strategies never work. Give me your thoughts below. Be here at 9 p.m. Pacific this evening for the best political live stream in the evening on YouTube. Thank you.